You are standing in a candlelit hall inside the heart of the Vatican. The marble floor beneath your feet is cold, colder than the silence pressing against the walls. And at the center of the room, a young bride, veiled in white, is being forced to kneel. 3 rings, 3 vows, 3 different men, all before the same audience, all on the same night, all sanctioned by the church itself. People whisper it was a holy union, but if you listen closely, beneath the chanting, beneath the hymns, you can hear it. The sound of a life being sealed not in love, but in obedience. Tonight, we enter the Vatican's darkest wedding, a story where faith becomes theater, innocence becomes currency, and one woman's body is turned into a stage for power. You are 8 years old the first time the Vatican writes your name, not on a blessing, not on a record of birth, but on a list, a quiet, hidden list of girls of promise. Girls whose families owe favors. Girls whose lineage can be shaped. Girls who can be molded into symbols the church can use. You don't know any of this, of course. All you know is that every morning, the bells ring across the city, and your mother tightens a ribbon of your dress and whispers, "One day, you will serve something greater than yourself." At the time, you think she means faith or charity, or perhaps the humble beauty of the choir you long to join. But the adults around you speak in glances. Their smiles are rehearsed. Their silences are heavy with transactions you cannot see. You grow up believing you are chosen, blessed, even, a girl kissed by divine purpose. Yet somewhere inside, a part of you wonders why your father's hand trembles every time a messenger from the Vatican arrives. Why your mother always bows too deeply. Why the priests look at you not as a child, but as a future role, a position, a tool. When you turn 14, a nun begins visiting your home twice a week. She says she has been assigned to your spiritual development. But her lessons are not prayers. They are instructions. How to kneel without shaking. How to lower your eyes even when afraid. How to keep your voice soft, steady, and acceptable. How to smile when you want to scream. You are told these are virtues. You are told obedience is holiness. But every night, as you lie awake staring at the cracked ceiling, listening to the distant humming cathedral hymns, you wonder a secret question. If God gave you a voice, why does everyone insist you swallow it? Your life is being shaped, but you do not yet understand into what. All you know is that the world is preparing you for something immense, something sacred, something terrifying, and you have no say in any of it. The older you get, the more the world feels like a hallway, long, narrow, and lined with doors you're forbidden to open. At 16, you are summoned to a private audience with a cardinal. Everyone says this is a great honor, that most girls your age would fall to their knees in gratitude, that God must have extraordinary plans for you, but you feel something else, something cold and heavier than the gold rings on the cardinal's fingers. He studies you as if you are an object he is appraising, your posture, your silhouette, your quietness. He smiles with an approval that does not feel holy. You have been prepared well, he says. You will serve the church in ways few ever do. A strange unease coils through you. Serve how? Serve who? No one gives answers. Instead, you're sent to a different set of trainings. These are held inside a secluded building behind the cathedral, a place with narrow windows and thick curtains. Here, you are taught new rules that are not written in Scripture. Never refuse a blessing from a superior. Never ask why. Never question the church's decisions. Never let your face betray fear. And most importantly, your body is an instrument of God's will, and therefore it belongs not to you, but to his appointed servants. You do not understand the full meaning. Not yet, but you understand enough to feel the world shifting under your feet. What you thought was purpose begins to feel like possession. What you thought was honor begins to feel like a cage wrapped in silk. One night, you overhear 2 priests whispering in the corridor. The wedding is almost arranged. 3 vows, as tradition demands. She doesn't know yet. Your breath freezes. A wedding? 3 vows? You press your ear against the wood, but footsteps scatter the conversation, leaving only fragments. Your name, their plans, the silent inevitability. You feel it in your bones. You are being moved like a piece across a board. A white pawn dressed as a bride. And the Vatican has already decided your checkmate. They tell you only a week before. Your mother arrives with a veil she stitched herself. A beautiful thing, delicate as frost, soft as a blessing. She places it over your hair with trembling fingers, whispering that this is your destiny, that God has chosen you, that millions of women would envy such an honor, but her eyes won't meet yours. Your father cannot look at you at all. The cardinal himself delivers the final revelation. You will enter 3 sacred unions, he says gently, as if speaking to a child. 3 marriages, 3 vows, 3 bindings of spirit and obedience. Your throat closes. With one man, you ask, clinging to hope. He smiles and the room tilts. No, with 3 men. Each union symbolizes a different authority of the church. Each vow is essential to your service. The air leaves your lungs. It feels like drowning in holy water. You want to scream, to refuse, to run, but the training you were given snaps tight around your instincts like invisible ropes. Never question, never resist, never disrupt the will of the church. The cardinal leans closer. His voice softens. You were born for this. The Vatican chose you long before you were old enough to understand why. That night, you cry in silence, not because you are afraid of marriage, but because you finally understand. Your life was never your own. Your choices were never considered. Your path was carved by hands that never once asked what you wanted. The bells ring outside your window, slow, heavy, ceremonial. Tomorrow, the city will watch you walk down an aisle you never chose. Tomorrow, they will call you blessed. Tomorrow, your name will be spoken in hymns. And you will step into a wedding that feels less like a celebration and more like a sentence. The Vatican has never looked more beautiful or more cruel. Hundreds of candles line the marble corridors, their flames trembling like witnesses too frightened to speak. The air tastes of incense, sweet at first, then suffocating, as if the walls themselves are trying to lull you into surrender. You walk to the great nave like a ghost wrapped in silk. Your veil trails behind you, whispering across the floor like a prayer that has lost its faith. Eyes follow you, priests, scribes, noble families, guards standing like carved stone. Everyone watches, yet no one says a word. It is the silence that terrifies you most. The kind of silence that makes you feel less like a bride and more like a lamb being led toward an altar that shines too brightly to be safe. At the entrance to the inner chapel, the cardinal takes your wrist. His grip is firm, ceremonial, almost tender, the tenderness of someone guiding a possession, not a person. It begins now, he murmurs. The heavy doors swing open. A man stands at the far end of the chapel. Your first husband. He is a high-ranking cleric, twice your age, draped in white and gold. His smile is gentle, but his eyes are calculating, as if he is memorizing his new acquisition. Your knees feel weak as you approach him. This first vow, they told you, represents purity, a union with the church's sacred ideals. But there is nothing sacred about the way he looks at you. The ceremony begins with ancient words you barely understand. Hymns echo off the stone, rising to the ceiling like smoke. When he slides a ring onto your trembling finger, you feel heat rush to your cheeks, not warmth, but humiliation. The ring is heavy, metal forged from obedience. Do you accept this union? The cardinal asks. Your tongue is stone, but the training takes over, that quiet, relentless conditioning woven into you since childhood, and your lips move without permission. I do. The crowd murmurs. The incense thickens, and somewhere deep inside you, a door closes. The first vow chains you to purity, or rather, to the church's definition of purity. Silence, softness, submission. You barely have time to breathe. Before the first ceremony's echoes fade, you are escorted to another chamber, darker, smaller, the air colder than before. The candles here burn lower, their shadows longer, as if every flame is being stretched thin. Your second husband waits. A nobleman, influential, a politician whose wealth has funded half the Vatican's ambitions. They say this vow symbolizes authority, the unity between sacred purpose and worldly power. But the way he examines you, like a merchant assessing merchandise, tells a different story. "Lift your chin," he commands softly, not unkindly, but undeniably. You obey. Your heart slams against your ribs as he places the second ring on your finger. It is heavier than the first, a band carved with symbols of dominion and control. "In this union," he declares, "you bind yourself to the guardians of order." Order, a beautiful word, a deceptive word. Because here, order means hierarchy. Order means obedience. Order means your body is now a bridge between two powerful men, two powerful institutions, a vessel, a symbol, a resource. Your breath shudders as a vow is spoken. The nobleman presses his lips to your forehead, an act meant to look protective, but it feels like a seal, a claim. Around you, the audience nods approvingly. This vow is political theater, a spectacle they have rehearsed countless times with different brides, different pawns. You want to run. You want to scream. You want to tear the rings from your hand. But the room is full of watchers, some praying, some smiling, some simply curious, all complicit. And in their eyes, you are not a trembling girl. You are an offering. When the vow ends, the nobleman steps back, satisfied. The cardinal signals for the procession to continue. 2 rings now cling to your skin like shackles that glisten. The first, purity. The second, power. And the heaviest vow is still waiting in the deepest room of the night. By the time they lead you to the 3rd chamber, your legs feel numb. Your pulse beats in your ears like a warning drum. This room is nothing like the others. It is smaller, darker, colder. No audience sits in the pews. No hymns echo across the stone. Only a few candles burn, low, almost dying. You sense immediately that this vow is different. Your 3rd husband stands with his back turned, cloaked in shadow. You have heard whispers about him. A man of immense influence inside the church. Someone whose decisions shape destinies, punish enemies, craft saints, erase sinners. Some call him a spiritual advisor. Others call him a judge. Some refuse to call him anything at all. When he turns, his gaze strikes you like a blade. Not cruel, not warm, just penetrating, as if he sees every thought you've ever tried to bury. "This union," he says quietly, "is not witnessed by the world. It is witnessed by God alone." His voice vibrates with authority not taught in Scripture, the authority of a man who has never been told no. The ceremony begins with no music, no procession, no pretense of sanctity. His hand closes around yours, cold, steady, claiming. "This vow," he whispers, "binds you to obedience in spirit, to loyalty without question, to service without hesitation." Your throat tightens. This is a vow that scares you most, not because it is secret, but because it feels final. When he places a 3rd ring upon your trembling hand, something in your chest collapses inward. The metal is icy, and the weight of all 3 rings crushes your fingers. "Do you accept this holy union?" he asks. Something inside you screams. A wild, burning, furious voice. But your voice, the one they trained, sculpted, controlled, speaks instead. "Yes." His eyes soften, not in kindness but in triumph. The ceremony ends with no applause, no hymns, only silence. A silence that feels like the world exhaling after closing a cage. You walk out of the chamber with 3 rings, 3 vows, 3 bindings. A bride to the church, a wife to power, a servant to obedience. And tonight, the Vatican watches as you disappear behind its doors. No longer a girl with a destiny, but a woman rewritten by the vows forced into her skin. At dawn, the city celebrates you. Church bells ring in triumph, their golden echoes washing over the rooftops like a blessing. Market vendors shout your name. Children scatter flower petals in the streets. Nobles raise cups of wine in your honor. They say you are favored. They say you are holy. They say God himself has chosen you. But none of them know the truth. They do not know how your hands shook behind the veil, how your vows felt like chains disguised as halos, how the 3 rings now gleam like shackles under the morning light. No one sees the cost beneath the ceremony, because weddings in the Vatican are not about love. They are about leverage, and you are leverage. 3 vows, 3 husbands, 3 alliances sealed in one night. Behind the hymns, behind the oil lamps, behind the velvet curtains. Your body became the contract. Your purity became the currency. Your consent became irrelevant. The high cleric gained spiritual prestige through you, a public symbol of divine legitimacy. The nobleman gains political intimacy with the church, a private assurance his influence will be protected. And the third man, the shadowed man, gains obedience. Yours, and through you, the obedience of others. It was never a wedding. It was a transaction, a trade of power wrapped in lace and scripture. As you're escorted through the Vatican gardens for your first morning as a bride, you feel eyes on you, not of admiration, but of measurement. Every smile is an evaluation. Every bow is a calculation. They're not celebrating your union. They're celebrating the structure that now claims you. You realize with a sinking heart, this holy marriage isn't about faith. It's about ownership. And on the books, in the whispers, and in the quiet rooms where decisions are made, your name is no longer yours. It belongs to the Vatican. In the days that follow, you begin to see the gears turning. At first, it is subtle. Paperwork sliding across polished desks, sealed letters changing hands, meetings hushed behind carved doors. But slowly, patterns emerge. Your marriages did not unite you with 3 men. They united 3 factions. The sanctified order, represented by the cleric who took your first vow. The noble council, represented by the wealthy patron who claimed your second. The inner circle, ruled quietly by your third husband, the man of secrets. Each faction gains something from you. Each faction uses you as a bridge to the others. Each faction now has a stake in keeping you silent, obedient, and pure. You start hearing things you shouldn't. Whispers about land disputes solved overnight after your second vow. Rumors that your first husband has gained the ear of the Pope himself. Hints that your third husband has secured new authority over spiritual courts. And all of it tied to your name, your image, your symbolic value. You had thought vows were promises. Here, vows are weapons. In every corridor, you hear the word union. But they don't speak of marriage, they speak of consolidation, stability, control. One evening, as you pass by a chamber door left slightly ajar, you hear your husband speaking together. She will bring unity. Your first husband says proudly. She will bring legitimacy, the nobleman adds. She will bring silence. The third murmurs. Silence. That is what they want most. A bride who will smile for the fresco painters. A bride who will bless the ceremonies. A bride who will uphold the illusion. The church survives on illusions. Illusions of holiness. Illusions of benevolence. Illusions of purity. And your wedding is the brightest illusion they've ever crafted. In the reflection of a polished silver tray, you see your own face, pale, still, distant. A stranger stares back. The girl who once believed in purpose is fading. In her place stands a symbol that 3 powerful men will protect at all costs and control with even greater effort. The truth comes to you in fragments, like shards of broken stained glass. A maid whispers one evening, trembling as she braids your hair. You weren't the first. Her voice cracks, and you won't be the last. Later, a scribe slips you a discarded parchment by mistake, a document describing the selection process for sacred brides. Your name is listed under chosen instruments, not wives, instruments. Then, late one night, you discover a hidden door behind a tapestry in your new chamber. It leads to a private observational walkway above the council hall. You shouldn't look, but you do, and what you see there changes you. Your 3 husbands sit at a heavy table, surrounded by advisors. Maps are spread before them. Kingdoms, estates, trade routes, political alliances. Again and again, your name appears on their lips. Her image will pacify the masses. Her lineage guarantees loyalty. She is young enough to be shaped. She offers spiritual unity. She is the church's ideal vessel, a living emblem, a vessel, an emblem, a tool, not a wife, not a person, not even a soul. just a beautifully wrapped solution to half their problems. And in that moment, something inside you breaks. Not loudly, not theatrically, but quietly, like the sound of a candle losing its flame. Because the truth is not that you married 3 men. The truth is that 3 men married the idea of you, the version of you that serves them, the version they can display, the version they can control. Behind the scenes, the Vatican does not worship God. It worships power. And you are the newest chapter in its holy theater. The next morning, as the sun spills across the stone floor, you slide your fingers over the 3 rings, the symbols of your divine destiny. For the first time, instead of fear, you feel something else. A seed, small, buried, fragile, but undeniably alive. Not rebellion. Not yet, but awareness. The kind that grows quietly in the shadows. And once awareness begins, obedience is never the same again. They do not hand you a rule book. They don't have to. The rules live in the walls, in the glances, in the silences that fall like curtains the moment you enter a room. You learn them the way a prisoner learns the weight of his chains. Slowly, painfully, one bruise at a time. Rule 1, never walk faster than the priest. Your pace must mirror theirs. Too quick, and you seem eager, suspicious. Too slow, and you seem reluctant, disrespectful. Your body becomes choreography. Every step calculated, every movement sermon-worthy. Rule 2, keep your voice at the volume of reverence. The palace loves quiet women, soft women, women whose words feel like prayer, not opinion. If your voice rises, even in fear, they call it improper emotion. Rule 3, never sit first. Power chooses where you sit. Power decides when you may fold your knees, when you may rise, when you may breathe without being watched. The chairs in the Vatican are not furniture. They are hierarchies. Rule 4, eat little. Pray much. Hunger is seen as discipline. Fullness is seen as indulgence. You learn quickly that faintness is considered holiness, and dizzy spells are treated like blessings. Rule 5, accept every blessing without flinching. A hand on your shoulder, fingers brushing your cheek, a palm pressing against your forehead. Each touch is divine, even when it makes your skin crawl. You must not move, not even a breath. Rule 6, never cry where someone important can see you. Tears equal weakness. Weakness equals inconvenience. And inconvenient brides are quietly replaced. At night, you collapse onto your bed, exhausted from existing. No one beat you. No one screamed at you. And yet you feel bruised in ways no one will ever understand. Because the palace does not hurt you with violence. It hurts you with rules. There's a word they use often, duty. They say it with smiles. They say it with hymns. They say it while tightening your invisible leash. Rule 7, never ask what a door leads to. If a corridor narrows, if a door is locked, if footsteps echo where none should, look away. Curiosity is dangerous. Girls who ask the wrong questions become names whisper with caution. Rule 8, your body must always look peaceful. No trembling hands during ceremonies. No clenched jaws. No fear alive in your eyes. Your face is a painting, and paintings do not break. Rule 9, keep secrets you don't understand. Servants whisper. Scribes slip. Priests confess things accidentally in your presence. You hear truths no bride should hear. Never repeat them. The palace forgives some more easily than it forgives honesty. Rule 10, do not show preference. You have 3 husbands, each with power, pride, and eyes everywhere. Favor one, and the others grow suspicious. Displease one, and the others grow opportunistic. You must be water, shapeless, tasteless, impossible to grasp. Rule 11, never touch a door after midnight. After midnight, power moves freely. Quietly, the palace becomes a different creature. If you wander, even by accident, you might witness things no woman is meant to see, and no woman survives seeing twice. Rule 12, bow to the man, not the man's actions. Your moral compass must be drowned. Your conscience must be quiet. Your loyalty must be blind. The palace thrives on good people who obey bad orders. Rule 13, always leave a conversation before it becomes dangerous. A compliment is safe. A question is not. A silence is a trap. When men in power lower their voices, leave. Quickly. By now, you'll become a shadow. Moving softly. Speaking carefully. Smiling on command. You are everywhere they need you to be, and nowhere you could ever be free. Some rules keep you invisible. Others teach you how to endure visibility, the kind that burns like sunlight through stained glass. Rule 14, your beauty is not yours. They dress you, arrange you, polish you like a sacred artifact. A symbol must always look perfect. Perfection to them means silence decorated with jewels. Rule 15, learn to hear what someone means, not what they say. A smile hides a threat. A blessing hides command. A compliment hides ownership. In the palace, every sentence is a blade wrapped in silk. Rule 16, never let them know which rule hurts you most. Pain is leverage. Weakness is currency. If they sense what wounds you, they will press harder, for obedience, for amusement, for reassurance of power. Rule 17, memorize the locations of escape routes you can never use. Every hall has a back passage. Every chamber has a hidden door. Every garden wall has a loose stone. You study them, trace them, memorize them, fully aware you will never be allowed to touch them. Knowing freedom exists is its own torment. Rule 18, when a man in power laughs, laugh softer. They must never feel mocked. They must never feel challenged. Your laughter must be small enough to flatter, never large enough to be noticed. Rule 19, keep your dreams short. Dreaming of freedom is dangerous. Dreaming of choice is rebellious. Dreaming of a life not built on obedience is heresy. So your dreams shrink night by night until they fit inside the size of a sigh. Rule 20, survive quietly. Rebellion is a luxury. They groomed you to be compliant. They married you to be useful. They trained you to be silent. What they did not expect was that survival itself could be defiance. Because every rule you obey, you also study. Every rule you follow, you learn how to bend. Every rule you endure, you learn how to break. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. And on that day, they will finally understand something the palace has never believed. A quiet woman is not a safe woman. She is only waiting. The hall feels different now. Not louder, not brighter, just heavier, as if every breath of every witness has settled on your shoulders, pinning you to the marble like an insect trapped inside a holy manuscript. The incense shifts from sweet to suffocating. The candles no longer flicker. They stare. And the Pope speaks again. This time, his voice is colder, sharper, like the edge of a sword dipped in holy water. The third vow, he declares, is eternal. It binds not the body but the conscience. You feel something inside you flinch. A procession approaches. 12 clerics, each holding a single candle. They circle you the way hunters circle wounded prey. Not to kill, but to ensure you never run again. One of them holds out a basin made of blackened silver. Inside it, crimson wax. Not warm, not hot, boiling. Your husband tightens his grip on your hand. Is it reassurance or warning? Hard to tell now. He has become an extension of the church, no longer a companion, but a function. The Pope lifts a slender stylus carved from bone, ancient, yellowed, rumored to belong to a martyr who died for refusing a marriage arranged by the Vatican. They say her bones, shattered by the rack, were turned into instruments of obedience. This is the vow of blood, he says, and the hall exhales. You are instructed to dip the stylus into the molten red wax and sign your name onto the parchment laid before you, a parchment that already bears 2 signatures, one from your husband, one from a Vatican seal. This is not a contract. It is a confession, a declaration that you belong to a world that will watch you, measure you, weigh every breath until you exhale your last. You reach for the stylus, but your hand trembles. The candlelight dances, or mocks, because for the first time you understand you are not becoming a wife. You are becoming a witness to your own captivity. Your fingers brush the stylus. It feels alive, as though the bone remembers the pain it once bore, the cries it absorbed, the fury etched into its marrow. You want to drop it, but 12 pairs of clerical eyes lock onto you, expecting obedience. The crowd waits, leaning forward, not with love, but hunger. A queen signing her own chains, always a spectacle. Prove your devotion, the Pope says softly. Softly, yet the silence it produces is deafening. You lower the stylus toward the wax. The heat bites, then burns, then sears, but you do not recoil. Not because you are brave, no, that would be a lie, but because you know the system punishes hesitation more than pain. You stir the stylus through the thick, red mixture, watching droplets cling to the bone like clotted blood. Your name awaits you on the parchment. Blank, vulnerable. You press the stylus down. The first stroke quivers. The second steadies. By the third, something inside you goes quiet. Not peaceful, not calm, just hollow. Your name in blood-colored wax glows under the candlelight. For a moment, you feel the urge to blow the candles out, to smudge the ink, to tear the parchment and run to the cathedral doors barefoot. But you do nothing, because no one escapes while everyone is watching. The Pope steps forward and inspects your signature. His lips curl, not into a smile, but into something resembling satisfaction, a craftsman approving his work. Let it be recorded, he announces, that this union is sealed by sacrifice. The choir erupts, but their song no longer sounds like worship. It sounds like mourning. You lift your hand and see the faint burn mark where the wax kissed your skin, a mark that will fade, but the vow won't. Your husband squeezes your hand again, harder this time, not possessive, but regretful, as if he too realizes this was never your wedding. It was your surrender. The moment your signature dries, the ceremony shifts into its final ritual, the one everyone has been waiting for, the one you have dreaded since the first candle was lit that night, the marital kiss. You stand before your husband, trapped between him and the Vatican. You remember the little girl you once were, the one who sat by the window, clutching a ribbon and dreaming of a love that would feel like spring rain. This kiss is nothing like that. It is winter. It is stone. It is duty wearing the mask of affection. You lift your chin, because that is what queens do. They offer dignity even when they're choking on fear. Your husband leans in slowly, as if still hoping the ceremony might stop, reverse, undo itself. His breath brushes your lips. Warm, human. But the world watching you is not human. The choir holds its breath. The clerics watch with surgical precision. The Pope stands like a judge awaiting the final testimony. Your lips touch his, just barely, not enough to be tender, only enough to be obedient. And in that brief, suspended second, you realize this is not a kiss between two souls. It is a seal between two institutions. The Vatican applauds. The hall vibrates. The candles flare. Your husband pulls back first, his eyes reflecting everything he cannot say aloud, the apology, the guilt, the quiet plea for forgiveness. You look at him and understand that he, too, is a prisoner, just in different robes. The Pope raises his staff and proclaims, "Before God and his witnesses, let their union be eternal." Eternal. The word hits you harder than the wax, harder than the kiss, harder than all the prayers whispered over your head tonight. Because eternity is not a blessing when it feels like a verdict. You bow your head, not in reverence, but in resignation. And somewhere inside you, a voice whispers, "Tonight, they took your freedom, but they have not yet touched your fire."